The Imperial High Council chamber was built to remind the galaxy who ruled it. Rings of obsidian metal rose like frozen waves, each etched with the names of conquered worlds. At the chamber's center hovered a living star map, its light pulsing gently as new territories flickered from red to imperial gold. Every pulse was another victory. Every glow, another civilization absorbed. General Karen Vorth stood alone at the edge of the chamber. He had commanded fleets before this council was born. He had watched suns burn out under orbital fire. Yet today, he felt something he had not felt in centuries: unease. High Executor Threxel Mon occupied the central dais, his energy form contained within a lattice of crystalline light. Around him sat the other counselors, their expressions sharp with triumph. The war reports scrolling through the star map confirmed what they already believed. The Empire was unstoppable. "General Karen," Threxel said, his voice resonating through the chamber without effort. "You were recalled to provide strategic insight on the final unaligned sectors. Speak." Karen inclined his head, a gesture of respect earned, not owed. "High Executor. Counselors. I will be direct." Murmurs rippled outward. Karen did not waste words. That alone unsettled them. "The Empire has conquered 8,000 sentient civilizations," he continued. "Every known military doctrine. Every form of resistance. Yet there remains one anomaly you continue to underestimate." The star map shifted. A small yellow system appeared, isolated, unremarkable. "Humans," a counselor scoffed. "A fractured species. Barely unified. Constant internal conflict. Primitive," another added. "They cannot even govern themselves." Karen's eyes never left the map. "That is what concerns me." Threxel's glow intensified slightly. "You believe humans warrant discussion while our fleets secure the outer spiral?" "I believe," Karen said calmly, "that every power which has engaged humans, however briefly, has ceased to exist within a century." Silence followed. Then laughter. "A coincidence," Threxel said. "Correlation mistaken for causation." Karen tapped the control node at his wrist. The star map changed again, displaying archival data: collapsed empires, extinct coalitions, vanished hegemonies. "These were not defeats in battle," Karen said. "Most never fought humans directly. Trade disputes. Border incidents. Proxy wars. Minor pressure." He paused, letting the pattern settle. "Each escalation was initiated by the other party." Threxel leaned forward. "And yet humans remain confined to a single sector. No expansion fleets. No imperial ambition." "Explain that." Karen finally looked at him. "They do not expand because they do not need to." Another counselor clicked its mandibles. "You speak in riddles, General." "No," Karen replied. "I speak in warnings." The chamber darkened slightly as Threxel exerted authority. "You suggest fear. Of them. I suggest restraint," Karen said. "Humans do not seek dominance. They seek autonomy. They are most dangerous when denied it." A sharp hiss of amusement echoed. "They fight each other endlessly," Threxel said. "Civil wars. Economic collapses. Ideological fractures. How could such a species threaten the Empire?" Karen's voice lowered. "Because they fight each other without annihilating themselves. They adapt." Threxel waved dismissively. "Adaptation does not stop armadas." "No," Karen agreed. "But it dismantles assumptions." The High Executor's tone hardened. "State your recommendation." Karen did not hesitate. "Do not force humans into war. Maintain neutrality. Avoid provocation. Let them remain observers." The chamber erupted in derision. "A conqueror afraid of observers," a counselor sneered. Threxel rose, his energy form expanding. "The Empire does not negotiate its destiny. Humans will be addressed when convenient." Karen straightened. "They are not peaceful," he said clearly. "They are restrained." The words cut deeper than shouting ever could. Threxel's glow dimmed, then sharpened. You mistake hesitation for strength. No, Karen replied. You mistake silence for submission. The High Executor turned away. The Council authorizes limited pressure. Economic constraints. Territorial probes. Nothing overt. Karen closed his eyes briefly. It was enough. As you command, he said, though his voice carried no comfort. The star map updated again. Small markers appeared near human-aligned space, subtle, strategic, deniable. As the Council resumed its celebrations, Karen remained still, watching the map pulse. He had delivered the warning. The Empire had chosen not to listen. And somewhere in the quiet darkness beyond Imperial charts, humanity would soon notice. The pressure campaign began without ceremony. Imperial trade corridors that had remained open for decades suddenly closed for inspection. Shipping lanes near human-aligned systems were rerouted through hostile territory. Tariffs appeared overnight, precise and suffocating. None of it was dramatic. That was the point. High Executor Threxel watched the updates with satisfaction. Observe, he said to the Council. Minimal force. Maximum compliance. Across the chamber, General Karen Vorth said nothing. Human response was immediate and unsettling. Freighters altered routes without protest. Corporate consortia dissolved contracts quietly. Diplomatic envoys recalled themselves with polite notices and no demands. Human fleets did not advance. They withdrew, pulling back from shared borders with surgical discipline. Fear, a counselor said confidently. They are retreating. Karen leaned forward. They are consolidating. Threxel ignored him. Increase pressure. Proxy conflicts followed. Client species were encouraged to challenge human trade posts, seize mining rights, provoke skirmishes. Imperial fleets remained distant, their involvement deniable. The reports that followed confused analysts. Human patrols disengaged rather than retaliate. Outposts were abandoned intact. No distress calls. No public outrage. Every encounter ended the same way, humans stepping back, never striking first. A junior intelligence officer addressed the Council. There is no mobilization spike. No conscription. No weapons surge. Then they are weaker than predicted, Threxel concluded. Karen studied the data streams. Their logistics are tightening, he said quietly. Civilian traffic is thinning. Communication latency is dropping. One counselor flicked an appendage dismissively. You see patterns where none exist. I see preparation, Karen replied. Days passed. Pressure increased. Humans continued to yield space without resistance. Entire sectors went dark as human infrastructure was dismantled and removed, not destroyed. It was as if they were erasing footprints. Threxel convened another session. We have given them every opportunity to resist, he said. They choose not to. Karen spoke before protocol allowed it. Because resistance is not their objective. Threxel's energy form pulsed sharply. Explain. Humans avoid escalation until escalation becomes unavoidable, Karen said. They are determining whether we intend to cross that threshold. A counselor laughed. They cannot dictate thresholds to us. No, Karen agreed. But they can decide what happens after. The High Executor turned away. Authorize a demonstration. Something visible. Something final. The order traveled fast. Imperial fleets moved into a peripheral system hosting a neutral colony, human-built, human-supplied, but officially unaffiliated. Its strategic value was negligible. Its symbolic value was not. Karen felt the shift the moment the command was issued. The room seemed smaller, the air heavier. You are making an assumption, he said. That humans will respond emotionally. They are emotional, Threxel replied. All species like them are. Karen shook his head slowly. No. They experience emotion. They do not obey it. The Council ignored him. Hours later, the colony ceased to exist. Orbital strikes were clean, efficient, absolute. The after-action report labeled civilian casualties as acceptable collateral. No Imperial losses were recorded. Threxel addressed the Council with satisfaction. And now we wait. They waited. There was no transmission from Earth. No condemnation. No threat. Human channels went silent. For a moment, triumph filled the chamber. Then the logistics board flickered. A supply convoy vanished from tracking without evidence of attack. Navigation AIs began returning conflicting coordinates. Fuel depots reported inventory mismatches that auditors could not reconcile. These are technical errors, a counselor insisted. Karen studied the cascading failures. No, he said. These are corrections. Threxel turned sharply. Corrections to what? To our existence, Karen answered. A new report arrived, 3 client species declaring independence simultaneously. Their communications cited identical language, translated into dozens of dialects with flawless precision. This is coordinated, Threxel said, disbelief entering his voice for the first time. Karen exhaled slowly. Humans have made a determination. What determination? The High Executor demanded. That neutrality is no longer an option, Karen said. Not for them. Not for us. The star map dimmed as sectors began to blink out, not destroyed, simply unreachable. The Empire had tested the silence. And learned it was not empty. The Empire searched for a battlefield and found none. No fleets advanced toward Imperial borders. No declarations echoed across diplomatic channels. No human commanders appeared on intercepted frequencies. There was only absence, measured, deliberate, unsettling. High Executor Threxel paced the command ring, energy rippling erratically within his containment lattice. They destroy a colony and respond with silence, he said. This is not war. General Karenvor stood before the collapsing star map, hands clasped behind his back. It is preparation. Preparation for what? Threxel demanded. For removal, Karen replied. Reports flooded in faster than they could be parsed. Jump gates failed alignment checks simultaneously across multiple sectors. Communication relays began routing messages in endless loops. Entire fleets reported themselves present and absent at the same time, their positional data contradicting every sensor model. These systems are hardened, an analyst insisted. No external intrusion detected. Karen turned to him. Then stop looking for intrusion. The analyst hesitated. General? They are not breaking our systems, Karen said. They are redefining how those systems interpret reality. The room fell silent. A priority signal interrupted, an internal human classification leak recovered from a neutral archive. It contained no rhetoric, no threats, no emotional framing. Just a designation. Hostile actor, existential risk. Threxel stared at the words. They labeled us, he said. Karen nodded. And once humans label something an existential risk, they do not negotiate with it. Imperial logistics fractured next. Supply depots received shipments that never arrived, while others overflowed with unusable components manufactured to precise but incompatible specifications. Automated factories shut down after detecting inefficiencies that did not exist the day before. Who is issuing these directives? Threxel asked. No one, Karen answered. At least, not in the way you understand command. A client world erupted into rebellion without firing a shot. Its planetary governor transmitted a resignation message written in perfect imperial dialect, citing systemic oppression clauses from treaties long buried in legal archives. They're using our laws, a counselor whispered. They studied us, Karen said. Quietly. Thoroughly. For generations. Imperial intelligence finally traced a pattern, every failure connected not by attack vectors, but by dependency chains. Power grids reliant on external calibration. Fleets dependent on centralized logistics. Command structures dependent on instantaneous authority. Humans had not targeted weapons. They had targeted assumptions. Threxel slammed a projection console, scattering light. Deploy fleets. Show force. Reassert control. Karen stepped forward. You cannot intimidate what has already moved beyond you. A fleet dispatched to a rebellious sector vanished from long-range sensors mid-jump. No debris. No signal. Just absence. They're destroying us, Threxel said, voice unsteady. No, Karen corrected. They are stepping aside while we collapse. A transmission finally arrived from human space. It was routed through a dozen neutral relays, verified and re-verified, stripped of all encryption except authenticity markers. It was brief. We acknowledge the change in status. Neutrality has been revoked. Further escalation is unnecessary. No signature. No threat. Threxel stared at the message. That's it. Karen closed his eyes. That is everything. The Empire's outer defenses began shutting down, not failing, but powering off according to maintenance protocols scheduled centuries in advance. Someone had altered the future. How? Threxel asked quietly. How did they do this without revealing themselves? Karen looked at him. Because they never needed to be seen. Humans learned long ago that the most efficient way to win a conflict is to make fighting irrelevant. Another report arrived, Imperial Command AIs requesting clarification on contradictory orders issued in their own voice. The machines were confused. For the first time in Imperial history, obedience conflicted with logic. They are isolating decision-makers, Karen said. Removing trust from the system. Threxel's energy dimmed. Can we surrender? Karen met his gaze. You already refused. A final update rippled through the chamber. The High Council's authority node, once the anchor of the Empire, had been downgraded in priority across every network. Orders issued from the chamber now arrived late, incomplete, or not at all. The Empire still existed. It simply could no longer act. Threxel sank into stillness. We underestimated them. No, Karen said softly. You misunderstood them. Outside the chamber, stars continued to burn, indifferent. Somewhere beyond Imperial reach, humanity did not celebrate. There were no parades, no triumphs broadcast across the void. There was only quiet work being completed. Neutrality had ended. Not with fury, but with finality. The Empire did not fall in a single moment. It unraveled. Command corridors once crowded with officers fell silent as authority dissolved into contradiction. Fleets remained intact yet immobile, awaiting orders that never arrived or arrived too late to matter. Star systems stayed lit, inhabited, functional, and entirely beyond Imperial reach. High Executor Threxelman watched the final status grid flicker into uselessness. The symbols were still there. The meaning was gone. They didn't destroy us, he said, his voice thin. They left us breathing. General Karen Vorth stood beside him, the weight of centuries visible in his posture. They removed your ability to impose will, he replied. For humans, that is victory. A counselor staggered into the chamber, eyes unfocused. Another sector declared autonomy. They cite Imperial compliance failures as justification. Threxel laughed once, sharp and hollow. Our own framework condemns us. Karen nodded. Humans understand systems better than force. They let structures collapse under their own rules. Across the galaxy, client species disengaged from Imperial networks with uncanny coordination. Energy grids rerouted. Defense platforms powered down. No bloodshed followed. Control simply evaporated. Threxel turned to Karen. You knew this would happen. I knew it was possible, Karen answered. I hoped you would choose differently. Why didn't they invade? Threxel demanded. Why not finish us? Karen met his gaze. Because conquest creates responsibility. Humans avoid what they do not need. A final transmission arrived, routed openly, without encryption or threat. The Galactic Empire has been assessed. Hostilities will cease when destabilization concludes. No occupation will follow. The words were precise, restrained, unmistakably human. Threxel sank into stillness. They dismantled us to protect themselves. And others, Karen added. You were not the only ones trapped beneath your expansion. Silence filled the chamber. Outside, the star map dimmed as imperial gold faded into neutral light. The conquered were no longer conquered. The conqueror remained, but only in name. What becomes of us? Threxel asked. Karen did not answer immediately. He accessed a private recorder, an old habit from older wars. History, he said at last. If it is honest. He activated the log. Record begins. The Galactic Empire did not fall to superior firepower. It collapsed under the weight of its certainty. Humans requested neutrality. We denied it. In doing so, we forced them to choose survival. Threxel listened, motionless. They did not seek revenge. They did not seek dominion. They removed a threat. Nothing more. The recorder clicked off. Threxel exhaled slowly. If we had listened. Karen looked out at the fading stars. Then none of this would exist. Beyond the Empire's former borders, humanity withdrew. Fleets returned home. Networks went dark. The galaxy was left changed, but not ruled. General Karen remained, watching the quiet settle. The war ended without celebration. Only a lesson remained.